Thanks for tuning in, everybody. I wanted to make a video to showcase this upcoming game called Iron Nest Heavy Turret Simulator. Now, the full release is going to be on August 6th, but there is a free demo available as of now, well, actually as of a few weeks ago on Steam. The demo's getting a lot of buzz. That's how I heard about it, and actually why I wanted to make this video. Now, from what I hear, this game is made by a team of 2 people, so it's always great to support an independent developer. So yeah, let's take a look at this game. So kind of the conceit here is you act as the operator of this giant 4-legged mobile artillery piece, taking orders remotely from this totalitarian monarchist regime and taking out their enemies. Now, what I like about this a lot is there's kind of an unsaid background here that you're working for the bad guys here, right? The enemies that you're taking out are in many cases like civilians, right? And also you just, you only interact with everything through a map, so you don't exactly know what's happening. That adds a level of dark humor to the whole thing. In the demo, there's only 4 main missions. These kind of act as a tutorial. They gradually introduce you to, the game mechanics, but also the different types of scenarios you'll encounter. And then there's 2 open-ended missions. There's the counter battery challenge, which to me at least is pretty difficult. It's kind of a survival mode where you almost from the get-go are being shot back at, and really all you can do is buy more time by taking out enemy artillery pieces and fire directors. There is a leaderboard for it, so highly encourage you to check that out. But there's also the uncontested engagement, kind of a sandbox mode, just kind of lets you chill and shoot at things. So that's what we're going to be using here. Yeah, chill mode. Love how they call it that. Every mission, you start out getting up from your bed in kind of this lower level of the turret. I love just kind of how tactile everything feels. Like the main menu here, you'll see it's just it's a desk with all the things here. You can turn a lot of these lights on and off. You can actually use the coffee machine too, and it gives you some instructions here. Nice bit of flavor there. So all right, let's go upstairs to the main area. Okay, now we're going to be going through all of this in some depth, but I wanted to start by pointing out kind of this pin board here that shows what is essentially kind of the basic gameplay loop. So you get your orders from the 2 teletype machines over there. You use the charting table to measure and plot your position, enemy positions, and those of any allies. You use the ballistics computer to calculate your firing solutions. You load, elevate, and rotate the guns, and then you fire. Pretty simple, but there's a lot that goes into this. So let's start by looking at our teletype here. So there's 2 here. One is the high command, which kind of gives you your mission briefing. Okay, so it's giving us some important things here. The Iron Nest itself is located here, okay? And it's telling us that there are these 3 enemy supply caches that can give us additional requisition. You have this clipboard here, which is your best friend, and you can copy anything down onto that just by clicking on it. And you can easily remove things from the clipboard as well. We've got some of our initial plots to put down here. Let's go ahead and do that, and we'll be using the magic of editing to make sure you're not just staring at me drawing lines too much. So, okay, so the first thing we need to put down is the Iron Nest itself. So it's saying we're in grid C2, coordinates 4-3. There's C2, 4-3. Okay, now the turret can be moved. There's a couple ways to move it, so it is important to keep track of where it is at any moment. Now we need to put down our allies' observers. So they're just giving us the raw coordinates there, so easy to spot there. So A404 to G125, and finally looks like B825. Okay. So our observers are down. We can actually clear those off of our clipboard, and we can plot some more stuff here. So, all right, so we have our reference point alpha here, and we're just gonna put down the first ammo cache. All right, so whereas the observers, they just gave us the raw coordinates, we have to kind of derive the position of these other things. So reference point alpha, so they're giving us the bearing from spotter 1. Where was spotter 1? Right here, okay. So bearing 87, so that's this. Draw the line out pretty far, yeah. Okay, and then distance 10.42 from spotter 2. So distance you plot with the compass. So spotter 2, 10.42 kilometers. All right, So where the lines intersect, that's going to be reference point alpha. All right, got that. And then we can plot ammo cache 1. Okay, so bearing 260 from alpha. Where's 260 this way? And bearing 125 from spotter 3. All right, and where the lines intersect, that's going to be our first marker here. All right. So, all right, we've got an ammo cache that we can fire at. We have all of our allied points as well as our reference point. I don't know. I feel like we should shoot at something else to start with. When it comes to actually revealing the map, there's a few ways that happens. So anytime you fire anything, any kind of shell, and it lands, the game will show you will overlay some aerial photographs to show the impact. We can also reveal it a couple other ways. We can fire a star shell, like a flare, and we can also call in a scout plane. Everything that we fire out of these guns or need to call in, that's all done through this requisition table. Now each mission will give you a starting number of requisition credits. Because we're in sandbox mode, we have a lot. It will also give you requisition points at certain milestones within a mission, or if you take out like an enemy supply cache or ammo cache, you will get some requisition points. Yeah, well, first of all, let's get some regular HE shells. We need some of those. Let's get 3 for each gun. And the right magazine here. Okay. Now I'm going to use the scout plane to try to reveal part of this map, just so we have kind of a starting point. Let's start near this the marker we put down. The scout plane needs 2 things, 2 pieces of direction. It needs a starting grid square and then a bearing, so like where it's going to start and what direction it's going to go. So we'll put it in F4 and a bearing of 90 degrees. Just go straight east. So what was that, F4? All right, that's close enough. All right, so now on our chart table, we now have some photographs. Okay, so obviously blue indicates allied positions. We would hopefully want to not shoot them, and everything else is enemy. So there's obviously different types of shells you can fire. Most targets you use the HE shell. Others require something different. But we can use this template here to estimate the blast radius. So obviously an AP shell, very small radius. The standard HE shell gets a bit bigger, but we also can do the high capacity HE shell, and that's I think what we're going to use here. But let's see how much of this we can take out with one high capacity shell. So now it's time for the fun part. Let's go ahead and requisition ourselves a high capacity shell. That's this here, and let's put that in the left magazine. All right, where are we going to put that? Let's put that right in the middle here. We can move the template out of the way, get our red pencil, and now we can draw our shot here. Let's put it right here. So yeah, anytime you draw with the red pencil, it's going to track the bearing and distance here, and that's what we use to feed the ballistics calculator. Now there's a lot to select here. You could select your target type and the shell type. Those don't really affect anything. It's just if you have multiple firing solutions to keep track of, that can help you differentiate. But just for flavor, let's go ahead and set this to the high capacity HE, and let's go ahead and set our bearing. So it's going to be 71.4. And then our distance is going to be 5.42. Okay, now we need to select how many powder charges we're going to use. You'll see we're able to use 2 or more here, right? We can't, 1 isn't going to be enough to get the shell this far. One thing to keep in mind there is, so the more powder charges you use for a given shot, the less the gun has to elevate. And actually, the most time-consuming part of firing is waiting for the gun to elevate. So if you're in a hurry, it's probably a good idea to use extra powder charges. Let's go ahead and use 4 here. But of course, the powder charges are limited. You got to balance that out. So we got our numbers all good here. We can go ahead and get our firing solution here. Okay, so when you pull that lever, it's going to give you this chit here that tells you, just as a reminder, what kind of shell, how many bags of powder, and then the elevation and bearing. So let's go ahead and get that ready here. So we need to select the high capacity shell, and just watch how satisfying this is. I love it. I love it. So, all right, we've selected the right shell. Now let's ram it into the chamber. Right. right, now we need to put the appropriate number of powder bags in. You just do that by pulling the correct number of levers, so we're doing 4. We'll see those come in, and then we can ram it home. I love watching this. You see it retract the cradle, and then the breech swings into place. It's just fun to watch and listen to everything in this game. All right, so so we have a steam leak here. So there's all these steam valves scattered throughout the turret, and sometimes they will come open. Sometimes it just happens on its own, but usually it's if you take damage. And obviously the steam cloud obscures your view, so you don't, it's in your best interest to close it quickly. But also if you take damage, like if you take hits, some of them will spring open. There's a lot of these like system pressure gauges around different things, and if the corresponding steam valve is open, you'll lose pressure, and it'll actually make that specific mechanism work slower. So as if you didn't already have enough to keep track of. Okay, so we need to get our elevation and rotation set. So now that the gun is loaded, we can go ahead and get our elevation of, 16.26. And then we can do fine adjustment with this wheel. And then we need to do the rotation. So that's going to be 71.4 degrees, just a little change here. Okay, so now it's time for the final check. Confirm our numbers here, elevation, rotation. Got the right shell type. All right, so now we just need to confirm every step. It's basically just a checklist, making sure we set everything up right. And then we're ready to arm the left gun. And finally fire. Now, a note about this firing chain, it's a nice touch here. If I just kind of lazily pull it, nothing happens. You have to actually give it a solid pull here. So I love everything about what just happened. The lights flickering and swaying, how it almost seemed to push the character back a little bit, the momentary ear ringing. It's just, I love everything about it. Once you actually fire, this pantograph arm is going to track the shot, and then as it lands, you'll get an updated aerial photo showing you, what you hit, if you hit anything at all. Check out that huge crater we created. I love it. So let's clear out these old numbers here, and let's move the pantograph away. So I heard the teletype clicking. So yeah, it's telling us how many things we destroyed. So okay, so I guess we don't need an armor piercing for that ammo cache. That counted as being destroyed, and that gave us some additional requisition. And you'll see it's feeding us some more targets here. So yeah, we have a lot more that we can shoot at. Let's go ahead and find something to shoot at. Oh, we're getting more information here. Another supply cache. Yeah, let's just fire at one of these infantry blocks here. Try this one here. Now, I don't want to use the big shell for this. It's too close to allies, so we'll just use the regular HE. But you'll see that we now need to dial in our bearing and distance. 55.5, select the right shell, and our distance. We probably don't need that many powder charges. We can just do it with 2. But 3.79, 55.5, we are good. All right, now let's use the other gun for this. So let's get our HE round in here. And only 2 powder bags this time. All right, and while that's going, we can get rotated. $55.5, okay. Now this needs to be at, 22.74. Can lower that down here. All right, let's confirm our numbers here. Elevation, rotation, okay. And fire away. Yeah, let's watch the shell travel here. And we had another direct hit. And we'll check out the intelligence board here. Hostile infantry destroyed. Great. So yeah, that's pretty much how the basic gameplay loop works. You know, tracking, plotting targets, loading and firing, calculating solutions. It's all very fun, very satisfying. Just a couple other things to point out, other things you can do from the requisition table. There's a couple other shell types. There's a smoke shell, and I think they're not implemented yet, but there's gas shells. What are these here? There's like tear gas, propaganda shell. I love everything about that. Mustard gas, atomic. Can't wait to see that. And an incendiary shell. Oh, and there's even another one here. Phosgene gas. Okay, so there's many kinds of gas. We're going to be doing war crimes, and I forgot one. There's a cluster munition. Oh, this is hilarious. But yeah, you're also able to reposition the turret. You can give specific instructions on, you know, move it this far in this direction. That's useful if you're taking counterfire. A lot going on here in just the demo. I can't wait to see the full game. There's probably going to be a lot more guided scenarios, and obviously all those fun new shell types that the Geneva Convention would not care for. Yeah, I just love the design of everything. You know, you can see the engine pistons running under the floor. We talked about the sound and mechanics of everything, but speaking of sound, check this out. Love it. And I love how that even made the lights flicker and shake a little bit, like it's just that powerful. So yeah, I just everything about this game is a ton of fun. I'm going to go ahead and play myself off with the record player. But yeah, just a reminder that the game is called Iron Nest Heavy Turret Simulator. The demo is available on Steam, and the full release will be on August 6th. Hope you check it out. Thanks for watching.